Welcome to my presentation on digital fiction, or DigiFic as I have decided to call it. What is digital fiction? Digital fiction takes on many different forms. In her multiliteracies lecture, Angela Thomas breaks down digital fiction into 6 forms. These are digital replications of known texts, digital enhancements and embellishments to known stories, digital transformations of known texts, digital reversionings or reconfigurations of known texts, born digital fictions, and blended digital or real fictions. In its simplest form, digital fiction can be an electronic version of a text. These are becoming more popular and more flexible with technologies such as Kindles and other e-readers to more complicated forms such as fictions which have been created for use on the internet, like multimodal and online text Inanimate Alice. Quote, English is no longer solely words or images on paper, film on reels or movies on DVDs. Teaching today's digital humanities has transformed our discipline into a more collaborative, interdisciplinary and interactive professional arena. End quote. Nicosia 2008. Literacy now takes on many different forms, and we, as literate people of the 21st century, are required to be literate in a variety of ways. We need to adjust our reading to the purpose, formal or communicative, and to the context, whether that be a blog on Facebook or a multimodal text, in order to gain a full understanding of the text that we are accessing. Quote, technology has introduced new types of text, such as hypertext, and helped us to integrate a range of modes more easily, with multimodal online text production, for example blogs, personal websites, and social networking sites like myspace.com, being taken up by thousands daily. End quote from Carrington and Robinson, 2009, page 30. We need to be able to appropriately read these wide variety of texts and teach our students how to access them as well. Being able to determine how to read digital fiction is known as digital literacy. In their text New Literacies, Lancashire and Noble, 2009, quote Glister's definition of digital literacy as, quote, the ability to understand and use information in multiple formats from a wide variety of sources when it is presented via computers and particularly through the medium of the internet. Digital literacy involves adapting our skills to an evocative new medium, and our experience of the internet will be determined by how we master its core competencies. End quote. That's from Lancashire and Noble, 2009, page 23. I have used the multimodal online text Inanimate Alice with my grade 3-4 students before. They loved being able to move through the episodes at their own pace, and they felt involved in the story and seemed to take more from it than they would have if they'd just read a traditional paper book. Quote, education is being viewed as ineffective, irrelevant and unproductive by the emerging gamer generation. It's time to rethink the way educators deliver knowledge to learners. End quote. Mingle et al. 2007. In order to keep our students interested in their learning, we need to adjust our teaching and the resources we are using in order to maintain this interest. So that doesn't mean that there is no place for traditional literacy skills or resources in the classroom, just that we need to incorporate these with what is available now in order to give our students the best opportunities. This quote from Carrington and Robinson sums this up well. Quote, we believe it is clearly evident that the range of texts and therefore the repertoire of literacy skills required by the young in our society is expanding. At the same time, we also believe that print-based text is in no way endangered, but that it now interacts with digital technologies and multimodality to create new and more complex texts. End quote. That's 2009, page 2. Lancashire, Snyder and Green also agree with this statement. Quote, literacy education continues to involve students learning and using old skills, but applying them in new ways via new technologies and new media. 2000, page 25. The access my students have had to digital fictions this year include following a blog of a guy named Andrew Hughes, who is an adventurer who runs an expedition classroom where he's travelled around Tasmania cleaning up beaches with schools. We met with him a few weeks ago and cleaned up the Somerset Beach. His website is expeditionclass.com. Using Ziptails, which is an online reading website where students can access texts, have the texts read aloud to them and access online activities as well as printables. YouTube, watching videos of stories or current events. Inanimate Alice, creating their own digital texts using software like Kapoof, watching texts that have been transformed into movies. For example, we read Roald Dahl's The Witches and then watched the movie, and the list goes on. Some of the limitations associated with using digital fiction in our classrooms is an obvious one: money, 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 and the fact that technology can be temperamental at times. I won't dwell on these issues though, because I believe it is important to make the best of what you have available to you. Thinking outside the square and being flexible and adaptable can go a long way. Digital fiction in no way replaces traditional books. There is definitely still room for good old-fashioned paper books in our classrooms. DigiFic is another option and an alternative resource for teachers and students and can work alongside traditional paper sources. Don't be afraid to give it a go.